Mexico is a land of exciting sounds and vibrant sights, but those who live can't deny that shadows hide beneath its lights. This is a country where political power rules and something as sacred as the truth can bend. Those who seek justice will always struggle to defend. In this land of contrasts, both dark and bright, it's the innocent who often lose their fight. Here, those with money and power get to walk away, while those without it are left to pay. Such is the story which I'm about to tell. In the scorching heat of Hermosillo, where the sun cast harsh, unyielding rays, there stood a place meant for joy, where children spend their days. Guardería ABC, a daycare full of life and cheer. But beneath its bright facade, something dark and deadly was near. June 5th, 2009, began just like any other day. Parents left their children, believing they were safe to play. But lurking in the shadows, unseen by all, was a disaster waiting to strike, to cause a tragic fall. The fire started next door, in a room filled with hidden dangers, hazards of negligence and greed, unseen by strangers. And when those flames spread, they revealed more than just destruction. They exposed a system built on corruption. The flames moved swiftly, devouring everything in their path, turning that daycare into a place of horror and wrath. The image of a single child fleeing the fire, a face marked with terror, a scene that could not be more dire. It's a picture that shows the horrors created by human failings. When power, profit, and politics fuel such tragic dealings. But at Guardería ABC, it wasn't just one child, one face, or one story. It was 104 children caught in tragedy that stripped away their glory. Today, we know that 49 of them lost their lives in this place, and the rest, scarred for life, forever haunted by those days. The building was a disaster waiting to happen. A daycare housed in an industrial site, ready to snap in. Flammable materials, no alarms, no escape. A catastrophe sealed by neglect and red tape. And who were the figures behind this nightmare? Not just careless workers, no, but those with ties to power. The owners connected to the elite, their hands left untarnished, while others faced the heat. The Guardería ABC was housed in a warehouse, they say, rented from a relative of one of the owners for an exorbitant pay. In 2007, the rent was 38,000 pesos a month. But by 2009, it had ballooned to 500,000, a financial punch, all paid by the state with taxpayers' money, while safety was ignored, and the outcome was anything but sunny. These owners were close to those in power. Once the finance secretary, with influence by the hour. Cousin to the president's wife. With ties to the state's political life. These were the people who profited while tragedy struck, shielded by connections, avoiding any bad luck. And what of the search for truth, the call for justice? It was met with resistance, corruption so heinous. Investigations were superficial, and justice was just a distant dream, as officials worked to hide the reality unseen. The only emergency exit was locked, they report. A fatal flaw in a system that fell short. 50 caregivers tried to open it, but in vain. The exit just wouldn't budge. It was truly all in vain. It took a passerby with sheer determination to take his truck and break through walls to bring some salvation. But by then it was too late for many. Too late for justice, too late for any. The damage was done, children's lives were lost, and the cost of corruption? An unthinkable cost. And yet, in Hermosillo, the scars remain, the survivors live on, bearing their pain, while those responsible continue their lives, unscathed by tragedy with no fear of the knives. It's a small town where everyone knows, and the wound remains open as corruption grows. 12 years have passed, the people say, and yet justice still keeps its distance far away, lost in a labyrinth of influence and power, where those responsible hide in their ivory tower. The daycare was just one piece of a twisted game, a system built on favors, influence, and shame. Family ties and friendships secured these places where children were placed in unsafe spaces. For every child admitted, the profits increased, and safety was a concern that quickly ceased. The owners of Guardería ABC were part of this elite, close to the governor, in corruption's deceit. Regulations ignored, safety protocols skipped, as officials and business people in their power dipped. The daycare was across from a gas station, next to a warehouse without registration. A perfect storm of negligence and greed, a disaster waiting to be freed. And when the fire finally roared to life, it was met with silence, not with strife. For in 2009, elections were near, and the powerful had much to fear. The governor's ambitions, the political tides, all of this played a role in this deadly riot. Even rumors of arson to cover corruption's trail circulated like whispers, adding to our tale. But in this tragedy, there is no happy end, only a fight for justice that refuses to bend. For now, the president signed a decree guaranteeing care and pensions. The truth remains free. Free from accountability, free from blame, as the powerful continue this dangerous game. The victims and their families still cry out for justice, not just for support, but to expose those who disgust us, to hold them accountable, to make them pay for the crime of letting children suffer that day. It's a tragedy of the state, the story we tell. A narrative of power and greed born in hell. And until those responsible are named and shamed, this wound will fester, unhealed and unclaimed. In the end, this isn't just a story for the dark. It's a haunting reminder, leaving its mark. A tale of what happens when corruption reigns, and how it's the innocent who endure the most pains. Thank you for listening to DISTURBARD. We're a channel just beginning, but if you want to help us, if you want to help the Bard reach more people and hear about these tales, narrated in this sort of medieval manner, we will be opening very soon a Patreon and a members area here on the YouTube channel. So any support is highly welcomed. Your support will help us make even more content brought by you. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. We will be bringing more. Hopefully you will like this style, and any feedback is welcome. We are this new adventure, this sort of new format for us. So anything will be taken into account. Thank you very much. And we hope to see you into our next episode of DISTURBARD.